Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective coming at you on a late night. We're going to sit around. We're going to talk about the things happening in the world. All right. Got that radio voice ready. It's the evening hours, the bewitching hours. And we have a whopping crowd of Suzanne. How you doing? California Cricket. How you doing, man? Or, excuse me, Que onde se loco? What's happening? Welcome, man. Uh, where everyone at? Joseph, how you doing? Um, no particular plan with the show tonight. I just want to know what everybody is feeling. We're going to talk about feelings tonight. Angel Lawrence, how you doing? I'm just trying to wait here for a second to see if I can get my D Live to crank up. I'm going to put the link here in the chat, and we're gonna sit around and we're gonna shoot the chit, and we're gonna have people that if you want to come up here and talk about how things are going and what's going on. I want to be able to see what everybody's feelings are right now. How you doing, preacher and Elias? How you doing? Some reason my D Live isn't cranking up. I don't know why. It shows that I am good to go, but it is not showing over here. Um, it's just being temperamental. But anyhow, maybe if I jump over here and say hello to Robert, and maybe he'll come back up in a second when I go back. But anyway, so this is not a planned show. I even told my wife I'm just going to jump on here. Charles Wright, how you doing? And I wanted to just feel everybody out, see what they're doing. Just saying hello to Robert over here for a second. Live next door, uh, waving a hand. Anyway, just spreading some of that love. Maybe I'll throw him a couple of lemons real quick. Um, anyway, so relaxed and calm, as I know Trump is working hard to drain the swamp. I believe that, and that's what I'm going to be interested in saying and talking about because I believe there's just more going on than a sniffles. Gary Holland, how you doing? Dan McElroy, how are you? Uh, JB Walter, JB and Walter. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you all. Anyway, so apparently my D Live is not doing very well right now. It's gone. Don't know what that's about. Um, anyway, so let me see if I can get it to come on this way. It says I am live on D Live. So I don't know what's going on with that. All right. Just have to assume it's live. All right. Well, without further ado or a don't or any other things I can think of, I want to put this link down here like Sue. And if you want to come up, you want to talk about how things are going, what's going on, how are you feeling about the situation in our country right now? Hello, DM. Hello here, but have no links. Interesting. Okay, that's fine. You're welcome to actually visit without having to work so hard once in a while. Check your chat on D Live. Nothing. So it's just being temperamental. I don't know what it's about. It says I'm live over there, but it's just not working. How you doing, Pete? But yeah, this is Charles Wright. Welcome. Yes, Trump is training the swamp, working hard behind the scenes. There's a lot behind the scenes going on, and I just find it very interesting. I want to see if I can remove this destination from the broadcast, and then I want to see if I can add it back here, and then uh, maybe I'll get it. This title just happened to organize your broadcast StreamYard and big sent platform you're streaming to. So it changes. See if it'll come up now. I just dropped it out and brought it back. Um, anyway, so I did put the link in there. If you want to come up, I'm very curious what people have on their mind in general. I have a few things on my mind about what I'm seeing, the way things are going. Gary Holland, how you doing? Um, hey, we got motion over here on D Live. It's starting to crank up. As far as I know, we have no positive cases in this area. I'm not sure which area. Um, we we just got the test kits here. John Mitchell, how you doing? I feel like they're probably digging up tunnels all over the world to save the children from these satanic people. I believe that too. We're going to talk about that too because there's one very high profile person that they're doing that to right now. Ladies and gentlemen, let me bring up Chris and say, how are you doing this evening, sir?
How you doing, sir? I'm also a vet, Marine Corps, just 4 years though.
Hey, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I made it to three. You know, I hear that some people, I've got one of my buddies that follows me. He says, well, he was in the Air Force and he never did any combat. He just spent his time in an office, so he doesn't really deserve the thanks and the gratitude and all that. And I just want to grab him by the lapels and say, "What's the matter with you, man?" You know, slap him around a little bit
Every,
because there's a very tiny percentage of us that are willing to sign that line and a signature in blood that we are willing to die for the country. Not everybody will do that. So no matter how long you served, the fact that you served, you signed the line, you were willing to do it. That's all that counts.
I
But
agree.
so what's on your mind this evening?
No, I agree with you 100%. I think the first oath that I took was in the Marine Corps, and that stuck with me for life. It's not. It wasn't just for those 4 years. Uh,
Yeah.
like I said, that oath was for life. Let me. So I've been watching you for about a month or so. I don't know if I first caught you. I'm trying to think where I first got you. Maybe through Pete or something like that. Do you watch Jerry? Anyway, let me go from there. Anyway, no, I think the biggest thing today, right now, is the whole Corvid 19 or Corvid 19, and the way the
Right.
government is dealing with that. I actually went to Walmart tonight just to stock up, and it was depleted. And we have a super Walmart. I'm up here in Concord, New Hampshire, and yeah, everything was
Hmm.
blown out. I got some beef and canned goods and this and that stuff, but I don't, I didn't, I missed where you opened this video, so I don't know exactly what your subject is for this live stream.
Well, it's primarily that I am just curious what other people are thinking. I always get on here and I put my thoughts out there and my analysis based on what I see going on. But this time, I wanted to hear what other people have on their mind because there's a lot going on. I may be missing stuff. I know that's really hard to believe for some people, but I do miss stuff sometimes, you know. But I wanted to hear what other people might see that I might have missed. So our Walmart down here has absolutely been raped too.
Yeah.
There's just no food left.
I mean, it's funny because we're in a Republican presidential holding right now, and we've, or at least I've seen in the past, reading us into certain things where the Democratic side would want to hold up an election. I mean, this whole thing where
Right.
Trump is saying this could go into August or whatever. Um, I don't.
Right.
I've heard things. I don't know the definite answer, but could a national emergency avoid or delay a national election? I don't know.
There are scenarios where it can. Under an Emergency Powers Act, there's an immense amount of power given to the president. Hello, American Warhorse. Um, One of the things that I've seen that I'm thinking might be up the sleeve of the Democrat rats is if this goes close enough to the elections, then under the presidential or Emergency Powers Act, the president could postpone the election. And the only thing I can see where it might be an advantage to the Democrats is they would get to keep the House until the election were to move forward. And part of my strange thinking in my head is that might be part of what they're interested in, because they realize that as soon as they let go of the power of the House and they go to this election, their whole system falls and they are not going to be in power anymore anywhere. So my thought is part of the deep state plan is to do this, to get the president to delay the election so they guarantee that they get to stay in their House seats, and then they can continue to be a pain in his ass and block as much as they possibly can from his agenda.
Right. Yeah, definitely use that against him and say he hasn't done this right. He hasn't focused his powers on curing a fucking virus that's killed less people than the flu. Um, yeah, no, that's cool.
Right.
Yeah. Um,
I,
yeah.
I think the virus is probably one thing, but I think the panic is going to be an entirely different animal. When these people go to the stores, like you and me, and they see that there is just not food left anywhere, then there's going to be an immense panic.
Well,
And when they do that, they're people like us. Go ahead.
no, I agree.
Hey, Charity.
I agree with you 100%. I think no one in our lifetime, I don't think anyone in our lifetime that's watching this live stream has been around for World War II or World War One. My mom came from
No.
England after World War II. She came from England at 18, and she remembers, these shortages. You might be lucky to get a loaf of bread or some meat or something like that.
Right.
And we're experiencing this for the first time, and I think it's a shock to Americans to think that why isn't Walmart full? That it's something totally new, and that could be totally used, I think, against everyone in the government or the president or anything like that. But it's just my.
Right.
It's
Well,
just
I'm going to bring up California Critic. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what we're looking for is personal opinions and feelings. But let me bring up California Critic, and he'll join us up here on the chat. ¿Qué onda, se loco? ¿Qué pasa? What's happening?
What's up?
What's up, DVP? How's it going, brother?
Oh, pretty good. You realize from now on you are California Cricket to me, because I screwed that up one time, but I like it so much you're never going to get away from that. You are California Cricket from here on out.
Let me.
You might as well change the name.
Let me chirp it a little bit. You were asking about how, like, our opinion, what's going on. What I find interesting about what's going on, especially out here in Cali, Pete will tell you, people are acting like they lost their damn mind. And what I find interesting is that we live in earthquake country. So people should have already had water and a little bit of supplies, because when the San Andreas goes off, it's going to happen. So these people should have already had some stuff stocked up.
I agree totally. It's the same thing where I live. I live in hurricane country. And, I've seen grocery stores completely empty, straight down to the bare metal shelves when we're getting ready for an impact from a hurricane. But the people that are familiar with it, we're prepared to sit it out. I've had to go 30 days without power because of a hurricane here. So I never even skipped a beat. I just carried on because I'm prepared for stuff like that. But we actually have some people out here. My wife just had somebody talk to her on Facebook that's actually from this area. And she said she went to Walmart to get her weekly groceries and there was nothing left. And all I could say to my wife was, what the hell is she shopping a week at a time for in a hurricane region to begin with? That just doesn't make sense.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's interesting that you say that. What's that?
We got a little delay. Go ahead. It's just you're catching some off noise, but just talk right through me. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
All right. It's interesting that you say that because we've become a society that is used to convenience. That's why people are not prepared because they're so used to being able to order stuff. They're so used to be able to go down the street and get their stuff. It's not like it used to be back in the days where people were self-sustaining. And this is a wake-up call to everybody because this is going to clear up, like you guys are saying, it's all a distraction to cause chaos and dissension amongst the people. And they're blaming everything on Trump when in reality, all of us that are in this chat know it came from China. It started in China. It was a plan to thin out their population, and it got out of control before they realized what was going on. And everybody's blaming Trump and nobody's blaming China when China is the reason why this crap is happening. But yet these lying media continue to push that, oh, Trump's not doing enough. Trump's not doing enough. No, everybody needs to be looking at China. China is the problem, and America needs to wake up, and we need to bring all of our manufacturing home. We should not be depending on China for nothing. And this is a wake-up call if for everybody in this chat. I know everybody in this chat is a conservative, they're a patriot, but if you got family members that like to vote blue, just point out what's going on and tell them this is what happens when the government is in control of stuff. Crap like this happens. This is a perfect example of what's going on.
I totally agree. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah,
based on that,
I definitely agree with that. I think I don't know if everyone's here. You know, I'm sure there's always some bashers here that some trolls that want to this that. But I definitely agree with California Critic that I think most.
I get very few for some reason.
Okay.
I don't think they like me well enough to troll me, so it's whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
They don't get any satisfaction out of me because I'll usually have conversations back with them. So you go into the psychiatric, and lay down on the couch and tell me how you feel, that kind of thing. That drives them nuts. Go away.
They're like, "What? You're having a conversation with me? What?" I thought.
Yeah. What the hell's the matter with this guy?
Yeah. No, I agree with California Critic. Definitely. I find it. I'm 50 years old. Like I say, I was in the Marine Corps. I work for the government. I'm a law enforcement officer.
Right on.
But I still believe in. I'm totally red. I believe.
Thank you for your service twice, then.
Thank you. I believe in 2A and all that stuff. We're open carry up here in New Hampshire. We're constitutional carry, and I agree with that. Saying that is a federal agent. I totally agree with what you're all saying, and I think you need to just like California Critic. I don't know what your name is. I'm Eastwood Farms is my channel name. I probably should have put that up there. California Critic. I don't know if you want to put your name up there, but
that's what his is, California Critic.
Okay. I definitely agree with telling your family and talking to your family, and mainly it might be your in-laws. It's like, you have to look through. You have to see through the bullshit that they're putting through.
Right.
Because that's what it all is. It's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. We had that debate the other night with fucking Bernie and fucking dumbass, and that was one of the worst debates I've seen because all they do is oh, you voted for this when you did this, so you voted for that when you did that. None of them are going against each other. Like, I'm going to support you if I lose, and I'm going to support you if I lose. So they weren't really fighting for a thing. They're just waiting for a fucking vote, and the real thing will come out when they go against Trump.
Oh, they're going to get wrecked.
Well, I was waiting for them to both start beating each other to death with their walkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on, Chris. I appreciate what you do, man. I'm a former Leo. Yeah. I did over 13 years working in custody, brother. So I understand the mindset. We tend to see things a lot differently because you deal with people in society that nobody wants to deal with. And you see people at their worst day all the time. You are constantly just dealing with negative. And so you begin to see life for what it can be. And I've shared stories in different, when I've gone on different channels, and a lot of the people in the chat know me. you're constantly seeing what humanity can become. So for us, we're just seeing what we've always seen.
Right.
Everybody else is kind of getting the idea of what people are capable of. And it's just a matter of time. I hope they get this situated and it doesn't come to this, but it's a matter of time before someone's going to get killed over trying to get supplies.
Well, yeah, I went tonight. Like I say, I went tonight to Walmart, and I stocked up, and I've always stocked up. But I went tonight, and I'm like, I always have my, I have my Glock 19, and I'm like, this is one of those days where I was more concerned going to Walmart than I was going to work.
Right.
Because you just never know.
Yeah, I feel you. It's going to get dangerous. Right now, we've got fist fights for toilet paper, but wait until the last can of beans is on the shelf. It's not going to be a fist fight. Yeah. There's going to be weapons that are going to come out, and these people are going to kill for this food, and that's what I worry about. The panic being more deadly than the virus itself. Thank you for the lemon, Sergeant Bob. Appreciate you. I saw you slip that in there.
I think
so there's a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I said I think now it's not like events in the past. Thinking about let's think about Y2K on. Till about 5 years ago. This isn't like events that have happened where people like we have stocked items for. We have prepared ourselves for. Right now, even those millennial Democrat, I don't want to say Democrat, but left-leaning people, even those people are looking at right now as an emergency. And that's dangerous. Where those people are making this totally dangerous.
Because they'll panic.
Yes.
They're panicking.
Yeah.
I told Disabled Vet's Perspective the other day, I commented on his video, and I told him, right now, we're not in a pandemic of illness. We're in a pandemic of fear created by the media because people are listening to what's being said on the media, and they're going out and they're buying out of fear. They're being irrational, and they're stockpiling. Who needs 20 cases of toilet paper? It's like, dude, get yourself like 2 or 3 big packs. Like, technically, you only need 2 because depending on how big your family is, if you get that monster pack, that's like 2 months right there.
Sure.
But people are buying like 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. And then you're hearing stories about people that are like gouging people for hand sanitizer and all this other stuff. And it's like, dude, again, Chris, we know what humanity is capable of. And that's just an example of what humans are about. And people are starting to see it like, dude, how can you rob your neighbor in a time of need? But see, everybody sees what's going on. And DVP, you mentioned people fighting over stuff. There's a video floating around. I believe it's from a Sam's Club in Georgia. These 2 dudes start going 10-8 on each other, and they're going to town with wine bottles. They start busting each other up with wine bottles. One of them had to be taken out on a stretcher. And to me, that's insane.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I will never allow myself to be in that position. I made that perfectly clear. When I decided to have a wife and have kids, I said I would never, ever be in a position where I didn't have an option to support them. And, we make sure that we have the provisions needed at all times for any scenario. And my wife and me, I think we're geniuses because when we went without power, my wife was baking cakes and making cookies on a barbecue grill.
Yeah.
So we had young kids, and part of growing up being a young kid, you got to have things besides rice and beans and stuff to keep your kids happy. They shouldn't ever feel like there's a problem. You should be able to make everything feel good and turn no power. Oh, we're just camping. This is an experience. We're going to learn how to camp in the house. You turn everything into a game, and you keep it enthusiastic, and then you have one less issue if you have your kids happy and comfortable. It makes no matter what the situation, it makes it a little easier to deal with.
Oh, it's
RRC, good to see you, brother. I think I stepped on your toes a little bit getting started a little early. I didn't mean to do that, but I had already put the time in here. I had to go with it. But it's going to get interesting. But we got a lot of stuff going on besides the emptying of the stores. This whole thing I believe, is a black veil that's being pulled over the eyes of the people. And I have a scenario I'll throw past you just because I'm feeling something. And what I'm thinking is, if you're going to take down one of the most dangerous institutions on the globe, which dates all the way back to the black nobility, the cabal, the bankers, the elite, whatever people want to call them, if you're going to get ready to take them down, they're going to fight back. And we know that the left loves their FF situations or twin foxtrots or, you know, those things where they cause havoc. And one of their favorite targets is our children at schools. So if you were getting ready to take them down, wouldn't it be a good idea to go ahead and close the schools and send all the kids home and then tell everybody, let's not get into big groups because we don't want to make nice, soft targets for somebody who wants to do something stupid? You know,
Yep.
put everybody at home, get everybody off the street, take away the opportunity, and then move in with military precision to grab the people that you have on your shit list that you're ready to dispose of. Does that make sense to either of you?
Absolutely.
Are you asking?
What do you think, Chris?
Are you saying that we should involve the military into quelling?
No, I'm saying the military is already involved.
Well, yeah, because we have the
There's
National Guard.
there's a covert action going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's something deeper than the National Guard. You're a Marine. You know this. You as a Marine, the Marine Force is the only military force that's at the beck and call of the president at any time without the approval of the House or the Senate.
Right.
So he could have the Marines doing whatever he needs them to do in the background. He could have them even in civilian clothing doing it. So my thought is that there's a movement right now to decapitate the snake and to take down the cabal. And this virus was a weapon, the last gas that the deep state wanted to try to do to keep their control. And I think it failed. And now the Patriots' turn, so to speak.
Well, I kind of agree with what you're saying. It's like I think years ago, I forget who said it, but the quote was, and I'm paraphrasing the quote: "Don't let a good
Crisis.
Crisis to waste.
You know what I'm saying. And if you know what the whole quote is, please say it. Don't let a good crisis go to waste. Just like the whole Vietnam War and all that shit. Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think 9/11 was a total fucking pardon my language. I think
Inside job.
yeah, and
Yeah.
and I that was
Well, here's a piece of fact for you. Every war, there's actually a war that predates 1382, but it wasn't on the records yet. But in 1382 and the one before that, and every war since then, has been perpetrated by false information and a false flag. So I looked that up. It's documented. Everything all the way back to the war before 1382 had all started with false pretenses. And they still practice that today because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're going to still do the things they think works.
I think McNamara, who was, I can't remember I don't know if he was Secretary of Defense or whatever he was, but McNamara supposedly said on his dying deathbed that the Vietnam War was based off bullshit circumstances.
Uh-huh.
And that's
the Bay of Tonkin.
Yes, exactly.
That was a false flag event.
Yeah. And how many of us died there? You know, it's
and Pearl Harbor was a false flag event designed to force the people to come in behind the president and support him in our quest into World War II. All those ships that were put out there in Pearl Harbor, about 90% of those things were about to be decommissioned anyway because they were in really shitty shape. So they put a target out there in the middle of the Pacific that was so enticing, you'd have to be stupid as a warring faction to not take that bait. But you notice they didn't put the carriers in there. So it tells you right away that they knew what they were doing. They knew it was going to get hit. So they didn't want the carriers in there. They wanted them to be out at sea so they were safe.
Sure.
But they used that event to get us into World War II. But there's a lot of profit in war. So, whatever.
Well,
Dangerous Freedom,
Yeah.
American War Horse. Good to see you guys. Robert,
Talk
good to see you.
Talk to Dick Cheney about that, DVP, about profit in war.
Dick Cheney. What a fucking scoundrel. Yeah.
Well, hey, you
Yeah,
better be
the Bushes,
careful.
too.
You better be careful. He'll shoot you in the face. Remember that.
Let's go duck hunting. Yeah.
Yeah, he'll in the middle of a
Right.
city, he'll see you at the duck hunt.
The last thing you want to hear is your buddy Dick Cheney say, "Hey, let's go duck hunting." Yeah.
It's like, dude, we're in the middle of the city. He's like, I don't care. There's a park right there. Let's go duck hunting. DVP,
Yeah, look at all
you
those
got-
gray ducks.
Yeah. He's like, hey, you look like a duck. So it's funny that you say that, DVP, because San Francisco's freaking out right now. The city is out of control. They're putting everybody on quarantine and locking them down. Well, this is what I find interesting. They'll let people defecate and urinate in the street. They let people shoot up. But because some sniffles are going around, they're quarantining everybody and telling them to self-quarantine, stay inside. They're closing restaurants. But this is what this is what I'm curious. How many homeless people that are living in San Francisco are miraculously going to be gone once this is all said and done? Watch them round up all those people and ship them somewhere else while everybody's inside and not looking, because there's less people on the street. So that means there's less cameras being watched. There's less people looking out the window. So you're going to see all kinds of nonsense come out of San Francisco that's already coming out.
And then you're going to have Nancy Pelosi jump up there and say, look at how we've cleaned up the city all of a sudden because of this virus. We were able to move in and make the changes. Yeah, I've seen all this coming too. But the question is, are they going to send them somewhere, or are they just going to send them somewhere? You know what I mean?
Well, I was trying to be politically correct on when I said they would send them somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what that means. We can read between the lines of where they're going to send them, because to them, those people are disposable. Same with everybody down in LA on Skid Row. Those people are disposable to politicians because nobody cares about homeless people. If they did, there wouldn't be the amount of homeless people that we see.
Vote.
Right.
Yeah, well, most of that homelessness is caused because of their increase in property taxes and things like that. They basically created their own homeless population by pricing them completely out of a market, and then they get so broke they can't do anything. They can't leave. They can't try to start over. There's a point when you hit such a rock bottom that coming back from it by yourself is impossible. You have to have some support, and California is not going to support them.
Well, it's all a scam. You know that, DVP, because basically what they do is the population continues to get priced out and the homelessness climbs. So what these cities will do is they'll go into the state and say, hey, we got 60,000 homeless people. We need money for programs, for whatever. In LA County, they were spending, and this is insane, $80,000 per homeless person. You could give those homeless people residence and pay their mortgage for forever and still they'd be fine, but you'd end up spending less by buying these people a house and paying their mortgage than it costs to spend on them.
Yeah, because that money doesn't get to them. That money is just the earmark is for homeless programs, but the reality is it gets put into their padded projects.
Well, didn't this new
is Warhorse going to bed?
I don't
know. All right, American Warhorse, you take it easy, brother. I want to get you on here soon too, man.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Didn't this new bill that went through that the president signed off? We had Pelosi. Didn't part of that bill have like $1 million was earmarked on part of that bill for Christmas ornaments for the next year's Christmas?
I did not hear that. I just knew they.
I didn't see that.
I knew they put
I'm not
something in there
surprised.
for Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, I saw that.
There's always earmarks when they put these bills through and spend billions of
Right.
dollars or billions of dollars. And when it first came through, I think a week or so ago, I had seen on Fox News that part of that was like $1 million. I'm using $1 million. I don't know if that was the correct amount, but there was a certain amount that was earmarked to go for Christmas ornaments for the Democratic Party or some fucking Christmas tree event or some shit like that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And that's those are the worst things, are the earmarks, because the people don't know. They don't
Right.
see that. You know, no one shows them exactly what's being spent on and where the earmarks are spent on. It's amazing.
You want to sign it if you want to see what's in it.
Well, yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Representative Gohmert has put a stick in their spokes. You know who Gohmert is?
Yes.
Yeah, the guy from Texas.
He's a lawyer type. Yeah, he has told them that you go ahead and put your bill forward, and they said we're going to put it through real quick. And he put a stick in their spokes and said, "No, I'm going to go ahead and read it first." So they've had to slow down. They've had to unpack the bill a little bit, and it's amazing how much has all of a sudden fallen out of that bill because Gohmert said he's going to sit down and read it word for word before it gets put forward to the Senate. God bless him. I think it's a good idea. Drop it like a Scott. How you doing, brother?
It's usually the staffers. These people don't read the bills. It's their staffers that read the bills.
Right.
So they don't know what's going on. They just get they're like, hey Joe, or I'm saying not Joe Biden. I'm just like, hey Joe or hey Mike, fucking prove this. And there's my thumb, because that's what your staffers say. And then you approve it, but you have no idea. They have no idea what's going on in that bill.
Yeah. That's the problem with government. That's the problem with government, is that everything is pork. It's all pork, earmarks and different bills, and it raises the spending on those bills. And some of these bills are needed, but instead of just focusing on the problem, you got this butthole over here saying, "Hey, Chris, if you vote on my earmark, I'll vote for your earmark." You know, it's kind of like a political quid pro quo. I'm gonna look out for you, you look out for me on the next one. That needs to stop. All that needs to stop. When a bill gets put forward, it needs to be for one problem only. Every single thing should have to come before them. They have to explain it. That way we're good to go. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get right there. There you go, brother. Right there. Yeah, so that's the problem. Not just that, DVP was saying $1 billion for Planned Parenthood. Chris, I don't know what your opinion is on this, Chris, but I know for me, dealing with the people that I dealt with, that is murder. I don't care if you decide when it's 2 weeks, 3 months, whatever. That's murder. That's no different. If I walked into a grocery store and said, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna terminate your life," you have no say so, because I don't think you're viable to my life, even though you have no bearing on it. Bam, I killed you. I would love for somebody who goes to trial for murder to say, "Hey, I aborted that guy out of this world. I chose to do an abortion on him, and that's going to be my legal argument, that I aborted him out of this world because he was causing me problems. So I didn't want to deal with it, so I got rid of him. I aborted him. I didn't murder him. I aborted him."
Right.
And I would love to hear a judge argue how that's not murder.
The only thing that I agree with you 100%. The only thing about abortion that I agree with would be if the child, if they could 100% prove that the child would be deformed, or like I say, I'm pro-life, but if something was defective with a child, or that child was made because of rape, or something like that, that would be the only things that I personally believe in. But I don't believe in fucking abortion. You know, get a fucking rubber. You know, these fucking pieces of shit that are fucking every days. The girls and the guys that are fucking every day. Go get a fucking rubber, or pull out or some shit like that. But these fucking, you know, and we talk about these families these types of people, and I'm not trying to bring race into it, But how many how many mama daddies or daddy mamas or mommy daddies do we need? It's
Right.
it's a cultural thing. I think
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Is it about money? Are they allowing this?
Virginia Prepper, how you doing, brother?
Well, it goes back. It goes back, Chris, to disabled vets. All disabled vet is always covering different things, and that goes back to Johnson way back when, where he said, if we pass this welfare act, we'll have them voting for 200 years for
Right.
us. It's a way. It's a systemic way to keep people down, keep people oppressed, and that's what they're doing. But what's happening is now you got so many people waking up to the reality of like, dude, these people don't care about our community. They don't care about us. We're still in bondage and slavery mentally because they, oh, there we go. They give them handouts and that's how they keep them. It's kind of like you're feeding the animals so they'll keep coming to the trough. That's basically what they're doing. So, but what's happening is a lot of them are waking up because you got people like Donald Trump and all these other people saying, dude, wake up. Like these people want to keep you impoverished. They want to keep you down and they're murdering your community at a higher rate than anybody else with these abortion clinics and their eyes are getting open. So I love everybody. If you're an American, I don't care what color you are, where you came from. If we agree, awesome. If we don't agree, you're entitled to your opinion. As long as you don't try to sweat me on mine, hey, more.
I definitely respect. I respect one's opinion, and I try to play devil's advocate. And I don't think in my head, or I don't allow in my head that just get an abortion. You got fucking knocked. Just go fuck it, get it sucked out. I don't agree with that whatsoever.
Right.
It's only on. It's like if you were raped.
And McElroy, I appreciate you too, man.
If you're raped,
thank you a lot.
Or if the child is going to be critically injured, those would be my only. Whatever. I forget the.
They're all steps. Like that's why I love watching DVP because Alex goes deep into stuff. Him and Pete the Patriot, they have also, I don't know if you've caught their Wednesday show, Fact and Fiction. Yeah. These guys get deep into stuff and they bring stuff to light that your everyday person, if you're not looking at it or you haven't heard about it, these guys are uncovering their shining lights. And that's why I love DVP. I love Pete the Patriot. I love American Joe, all the different groups that we're in, because they're bringing facts to life. And DVP knows that I got his back and I know he's got mine, and I'm going to continue to support him because he is bringing things to light that not everybody knows about, because he was one of the first ones talking about way back when that this is a bioweapon that was stolen out of a laboratory, taken to China and unleashed on their population to systematically thin out their population. And it got out of their hands. And
meant to be a worldwide event,
right? And it's funny.
It was absolutely meant to be worldwide. Well, if you think about it, they were celebrating their lunar New Year, and it happens to be the year of the rat. And then I found out that this disease is actually called pneumonic plague. It was created in a lab and smuggled out of here by a Chinese national. And they did release it in Wuhan because there were people from all over the world in Wuhan getting ready to celebrate the Lunar New Year. That means that they got all these people and they knew they were going to be spreading out and going back to their homes. And that way it's the perfect weapon because it has a long gestation period. You don't know you're sick until it's too late. By that time, you've exposed 100 people around you. So it's the perfect creation.
And it's going to continue to go that way, because that's what they want to do. It's all a plan. And like you said, they knew everybody was going to be in Wuhan. And if you're hearing about the people that are being infected, it's people that were on cruises, people that have come back from vacationing and have been on airplanes, small confined areas, and they're coming back and they're getting sick. So like you said, they went to the hot zone and then they took it all back to wherever they were coming from. And that's how it was able to spread. But what I love is that nobody's calling China to task on the fact that they didn't call in any of the big government organizations from around the world to help them contain it. They didn't do that. They were trying to hide it.
Right.
And nobody is pointing out that China lied and they were hiding what was going on. This could have been contained a little bit better, but China lied and everybody's like, oh, well, China's telling us these numbers. China's communist. You think they're telling you the damn truth?
It's just like the Russians, you know.
Here's another thing to think about, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about it this way, the liberals have been squawking immediately when President Trump said he was going to stop flights and close borders and things like that. The left went crazy because the thing hasn't been seated enough yet. They wanted to have more and more people moving so they could spread the thing further and get it out of hand before a reactionary force could be taken. So they've lost that opportunity and they're pissed.
You know, they
Go ahead, Chris.
They lost today because Governor Cuomo actually praised fucking Trump and his fucking presidency and his all that is entourage. Cuomo praised the government right now today on the president's actions. So if you hear Cuomo,
yeah, but be careful about believing that too much.
Well,
that's a ploy.
Oh,
that's a tactic. He's trying to get the president to release medical or release military to him. So yeah, he's going to smooth him up a little bit and try to say, you know, he's saying he wants the president to release the military so that he can use them in New York, and he's trying to smooth him up, so he'll do that. Do you think that as soon as Cuomo were to get a hold of the military under a presidential order to be used in his city, that he wouldn't lock that sucker down and create a martial law in New York City and try to take complete supreme control of the whole government?
I understand where you're coming from, but Cuomo's already done that in Upper New York State, where they had the National Guard. But well,
that's a difference. That's a difference, though. We're talking National Guard right now. He has the control of the National Guard.
Yeah.
But he's trying to get the president to release the military domestically. It can be done under emergency powers, just like everything else.
Sure.
And if he does do that, then Cuomo will immediately seize power.
I don't think. Okay, that could be. I can see that. I can see where you're saying that. But where Cuomo has cited the president as doing a great job and doing everything great for New York City or New York State or New York for that matter, I think Trump can use that for his election when he goes through. I don't, you know, I haven't looked that far beyond where you're looking at it, DVP. I don't think Trump will go that far.
Chris.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he will either.
Chris,
but I think they're trying to smooth him up, try to get him to do that.
Yes. Chris, I'm gonna tell you why. Okay.
Yeah.
When you encounter people that you're dealing with in your work,
yeah,
the first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna tell you. You ask them, "Hey man, is everything good?" "Oh yeah." You know they're high as a kite or whatever. "Oh hey man, when's the last time you used?" "Oh like a week ago," and they're twitching, they're acting, they're all tweaked out, dude. Their eyes are all jacked up. But then they'll be like, "Yeah man, it's good to see you," and they start with flattery because the first form of manipulation is they're gonna start trying to get on your side.
Yeah.
And where DVP's talking about is that's what Cuomo's trying to do. He's trying to flatter Trump's ego to manipulate him to get what he wants because he doesn't want Trump getting all the credit. He'll be like, "Oh, look, I made efforts to talk to Trump and help maintain this," because it's all a power play. There's always things going on beyond what you're seeing. Cuomo's not doing it because he likes Trump. He's doing it because he wants to bolster his own claim when the time comes for re-election. He'll be like, "Look, I went across the aisle and I reached out to Trump because I care about New York." No, you care about power, you piece of trash, and you're going to do whatever you can. Basically, what I always call demo rats is prostitutes. I call them prostitutes because they will do anything and everything to maintain money and power. And that's what he's doing. And that's what DVP is trying to explain is that.
I got a question. Yeah, it's a power play, but I want to just change the subject here for 1 second. Invader Zim over here asked a question to all three of us, and I'll answer first, and then I'll let each one of you answer. He says, "My neighbor described the stock market like a Russian roulette. How would you describe the stock market?" Okay, I would describe the stock market as an artificially inflated balloon that was created by the bankers, and it was made to grow to an exponential level. And once they knew that it was going to hit its peak, I promise you, bankers and the elite investors have already dumped their stock because they built it to fail, and it will come back again. It'll come back more naturally because it'll come back based on the economy and the GDP, and realistic numbers are going to push the stock market from this point forward. The artificial insertion of money, the bankers buying bonds and buying stocks and things to push numbers up, it's all an insider network. It was created this way. People have to be patient with it. It will come back. It'll come back more naturally. It'll have a smooth increase instead of these rapidly accelerating bubbles. So my opinion is, don't sweat the market yet. It's not that big a deal. It will come back. It'll suck if you're retiring tomorrow, but if you're a long-term investor, you need to stick on your long-term because it'll be a natural increase. Your money will come back and you'll be comfortable again. And my bet is before the election, we're going to get a realistic return on the market. All right. So what do you think, Chris?
Oh, I definitely think, that was the whole thing. If you don't sell your shit, then you're not losing. As soon as you sell your stuff and
Hello, Lockhart.
you bail out, that's when you're going to lose. So I think you should still keep investing. And there are many guides out there, whether you pay for it or not, that will tell you where you should invest your income. We have a thrift savings plan, which is like a 401k. You don't just bail out because then you lose. You don't lose until you bail out. Just keep the money in. You keep the money in there, and you invest it certain ways. And I think that's the way it should go.
All right, this is the way I look at the stock market. The stock market is a long game. If you're going to be in it, you got to be in it for the long game.
Right.
It's not the stock market's like your future wife. You gotta go with the good. You gotta go with the bad. It's not your girlfriend where you could just get what you want and then bail out. It's a lose-lose if you do that. It's a long game. Yeah. But I also view the stock market as the original Ponzi scheme, because there's somebody, like you said, DVP, behind that's manipulating these numbers. It's going to ebb and flow. If you got money into it, you got to stick with it for the long haul. If you're trying to make yourself rich through the stock market, you'd be better off investing in real estate, because your money's going to be you'll be able to make a little bit more money quicker. You're not going to have to do it as long. But again, to me, it's all being controlled, like DVP said, by bankers behind the scenes that are going to artificially inflate it. And then once it hits a certain point, they're all going to say, hey, get out. They're going to get their money, and then it's going to tank. And that's kind of where we're at. We're stuck behind the 8-ball because elites have control of the money, the banking system. So, like I said, I kind of look, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but we're not really in control.
CC, if you have money that you've saved up and you've built up, right now the interest rate is what, 0.25?
Yeah, it's something really small.
Yeah, so
you're not going to get any interest on anything.
Yeah, so if you have money right now, and there's only so much land in America, the world, and if you have money that you've saved up because you've foreseen these things happening, and you've put money aside or put money in certain places, if you could buy fucking land right now, this would be like the perfect place for it. I think I think you have to live your life knowing that things like this are going to happen, and
Right.
and you have to use
Yeah.
these things as your advantage. There's only so much land. Buy the fucking land, pay your fucking taxes,
Yep.
and you know,
I think
if you have
I think
land,
that I think that land is going to do a little bit of a reset too, though. If
Yeah.
people are looking to invest in land, I think they need to give it another couple of months, because
About a year.
I think that everything. Yeah, I don't know if it'll make it to the election. I think everything is going to get a little bit of a reset right before the election. It's just my gut feeling. I just think that
Yeah.
things are going to all be deflated, and some of the
Yep.
artificial rise in inflation, some of the created riches, I think some of that's going to come back.
Yeah.
I think that there's a very good chance that the Federal Reserve will ultimately fail. And if that happens, then we're going to immediately transition back over to the National Treasury, where we should be anyway. And people that have money, the Federal Reserve notes are going to be instantly rated at 0. But you're going to have an opportunity to take your Federal Reserve notes and cash them in for Treasury notes at equal money. And then once that's done, the value of the dollar will be decreased into toilet paper, and then we won't have any more shortages on the shelves. But I believe
Yep.
the Federal Reserve is going to fall at the end of all of this. It's an illegal entity anyway, so
It's a
it's never
domino.
been ratified. It turned off like a light switch. Yeah.
It's a domino effect, DVP.
Yeah, I believe so. And I think everything is going to do a bit of a reset.
Yeah. The next after this,
And
the
there's no
stock. The
excuse.
stock. Go
Go
ahead,
ahead.
DVP. I was gonna say the stock market's doing what it's doing. It'll reset, and then the housing market's gonna start going down, and then that's gonna reset.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say is there's no excuse for somebody buying a house for $100,000 a year ago, and then all of a sudden this year it's worth 145,000. All
Right.
of these artificial inflation things are going to have to be reset. I
Yep.
mean, some people are going to take losses on their houses, but if you're going to be living in your house, then you just keep paying your mortgage and you carry on, or you refinance, do whatever. But when all this reset happens, there's a little thing called a jubilee, and they've actually happened in our society more than once. And that's when there's a complete relief of debt. And if we can get rid of the Federal Reserve, if they fail, which they're on their way to doing, and they have to surrender, then there could be a period called a jubilee where we are completely relieved of credit debt, and we are allowed a complete redo where you get your new treasury notes. There's a new value based on them. In my opinion, I think that what they're going to do is domestic currency. They're going to back with the silver, because it's easier to back a currency with a lesser amount of gold or lesser amount of precious metal. And I think international trade is going to start being done with a gold-backed currency. So I have a feeling that's the way they're going to do things. But at that time, just like in the 50s, a man that was working 8 hours a day could come home to a wife that's at home with the children, and they had a car and a drive, they had a house paid for, nice yard, nice job, and they had groceries. Well, all of that started to change in 1971. The last year that we had the most value of our dollar was in 1971, and it was worth about 96 cents per dollar. Today's dollar gets you about somewhere between 7 and 12 cents worth of product. So the dollar has been devalued so much that it takes a lot more to do what you used to do for a dollar.
Right.
So there's going to be a lot of resets going on.
Yep.
Yeah, Robert DeLonge, I think it's going to be a reset. And then we've got to get back on a standard of precious metals. But again, I think gold is going to be used for international trade, and I think silver is going to be used for domestic currency. But we'll just have to see. I mean, that's the way I would do it. but that's just me.
You guys have
DVP.
you've definitely done more research than I have, because I just live the life. You guys definitely.
That's all I do.
He's great at it. He's great at it. He's being modest. DVP is like, he might as well call himself the digger, because he will not stop until he finds what he's looking for. That's why I love watching him. That's why I love Pete the Patriot, because they bring light to places that people, you'll hear things, little things here and there, and then these guys bring light to it, and you're like, yeah, I remember hearing a little bit about that somewhere, and then they'll take you past the door and show you what's going on. These guys are like, the best analogy I can do is, these guys are pulling the curtain back on Oz. So if you don't want to see the wizard, don't watch them. If you want to see the wizard and know what the truth is, watch these guys, because they will bring you the truth. Alex and Pete do not hold back. They come with the facts, and they'll tell you where they got them from, and they're cross-referencing everything so that you know it's not just some moron sitting in a basement talking out the side of his neck. They come with facts, and they tell you how and where they got them, and that's why they rock.
So what should I do?
But if I come at you with an opinion, I'll make sure to tell you that, because sometimes what I gather as an opinion, I've used research from things, and I've been able to correlate and congregate all of that information into a synopsis where I can say, well, this is what I'm gathering from it. And I tell people ahead of time, this is my opinion on it. This is what I think we're going to get out of this. But I try to back things up with as much research and documentation as possible. If I can't find it, I'll try to keep my mouth shut about it. That's the bottom line.
What were you going to say, Chris?
But anyway, with that note, I want to also say,
I was actually yawning.
if people want to follow me on D Live,
I've been up for not 16 hours, 20 hours.
Let me.
I just want to thank you both for being here. And
What a rush!
You've said, but I get a bail right now and go to sleep. But
I appreciate you jumping on and saying, "Hey."
No, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great to be here, and great to hear both your points of view. And thanks so much,
Chris. Before you take off, one more time, what was your channel called?
Yeah, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
East Wind Farms. Let me put in a comment on.
East Wind Farms.
Yeah, I mainly.
If you can put a link down there, go ahead. Make sure you guys follow them.
I just do game camera videos. I have ducks and chickens.
All right, well, go ahead and put your link in there, and I'm going to drop you out and see if somebody else wants to jump in here and talk for a few and see what's going on. But thanks again, Chris. I appreciate you, man.
Hey, DVP. Alex.
Yeah, man.
I was gonna say, if you wanna drop me out so two more can come in, I'm good.
All right. Well, if you don't want to talk to me anymore, that's cool. I'll just kick you out of here too. That's all right with me. We can do that. I can play your silly game.
Is anybody else gonna come in?
Oh, I don't know, but that's all right. Chris, if you just hit your little X button there up in the top right corner, you'll disappear from the screen. There you went. All right, man. Well, I'll see if somebody else wants to jump in here and talk for a minute. There's East Wind Farms right there, folks. Make sure you pick him up. He just went up in the chat. Go to the three little dots on the side. Go to his channel and subscribe. All right, California Cricket. Appreciate you, man. We'll talk
later, brother.
Probably in the chat. A lot later.
All right.
Peace. You got to change that name, though. I'm telling you. California Cricket. All right, later. All right, folks. If you have some opinions or comments or otherwise that you want to talk about with the what's going on in the world, that's what this show's about right now. Janine Salinas, how you doing? Shout out from Minneapolis. Well, we're shouting back at you from the Panhandle of Florida. So great informer. How are you doing, brother? AOC goes east to meet Kanye West. I wouldn't doubt it. But yeah, Donnie Newman, come on back in the chat, California Critic. Well, the chat is open. If you guys want to come in, you want to tell me what's going on in your mind, what you're thinking. I put the link right in there. All you got to do is you got to make sure that you have Google Chrome and then StreamYard as your server, and then you just click the link and you'll come flying on in here and be able to see what's up. Anyhow, so the thing is, I think that some of this is going to be, I think there's going to be some element of surprise at the end of this fiasco. We're going to get into the conspiracy part of things. Yeah, Oprah Winfrey's property in Boca Raton got seized, and they're digging that puppy up looking for something. I don't have more information on that at this point, but I am curious. DUP, do you think mainstream media will change their tune if Trump postpones the election in November? That's what I believe will happen. Well, again, going back to what I said earlier, I think the Democrats really would be enthusiastic about a delay in the election, because they know that if they lose the election, which they very likely will, because even their cheating isn't working, they're going to lose the House, they're going to lose the Senate, they're going to lose the presidency. So if they can get the president to delay the election, that keeps them in power that much longer, at least in control of the House, long enough to keep themselves as a thorn in the toe of the president and try to block him from doing as much as they possibly can. Did Oprah get know that answer? I know there have been some massive arrests in the last 24 hours. Over in Saudi Arabia, for example, there's something like 200 members of the royal family and assorted cabinet members that have been picked off. The Vatican has 80 people that were arrested. They're linked to child trafficking and money laundering. And see, how you doing? So, yeah, there's been some things that have happened. There are some indictments that have been unsealed, and some people that everybody looks up to are going to start falling, and society is going to get a little bit of because, you know, some of them say, oh, they're my idol, they're the one I look up to, celebrities, sports people, whoever. But they're going to see some really famous names and some very powerful people start being taken out, and then they're going to be releasing why they're being removed from society, and the people are going to be just truly horrified and disgusted at depths that they're not going to be prepared for. You know, there's a sincere possibility of a mass depression because some people are so wound up in their favorite celebrity or their favorite superstar sports person that when they find out that they've done something as hideous and nasty as what many of these have done, their minds won't be ready for that kind of a hit. They'll either deny it, they'll reject it altogether, or they'll accept it, and they'll, you know, there's a potential for a mass depression because of it. Kind of just have to see how it goes. But you know, we got a lot to wait on. I've done my Sunday show where I looked through all of my veterans information, all of my military information, and right now, between Sunday night and this afternoon show with Pete, there is literally almost no news other than the COVID-19. So it's really, really difficult to find anything, and that's not an accident. All of your idols will fall. The Bible, yeah, that's true. It's written right there. So the thing is, even somebody like me that will dig and try to get down to the information, I've only found a couple of stories of news of any significant that I've been able to scrounge up in between the headlines of COVID-19. So when you put this thick of a black veil over society to the point where there's just nothing else in the news, then you really have to sit back and you got to say to yourself, what the hell are they hiding on the other side of this veil? What is it they don't want me to see? And the media is going to do whatever they have to do to protect the Democrat and liberal and elite parties of the world. They're owned by these people. So, it's up to them to make sure the public is just not informed. How do you think the VA hospitals in the country will handle this? Um, the hospitals have a lot of work to do. I'm not going to lie; they have been improving. It's getting better. They're not ready for something of this magnitude. I don't believe, but in reality, I don't think any of our medical systems are. Um, they're not ready for potentially every ICU bed in a hospital being taken up hours apart from each other. Um, right now, everything's still under control. They're saying that our numbers are low, but they're also saying that the testing isn't available yet. In the biggest city next to me here over in Pensacola, they just got the test today. They had over 200 people call in requesting to be tested. They did 50 people in 90 minutes testing.
50 minutes.
Well,
within 50 minutes was 160 people.
Okay, within 50 minutes, there were 160 people tested, and all evening we've been getting notifications of people that are coming back positive. When they get their results back, right now they stand at 2 teenagers and 2 20-year-olds. So we're up to 4, and a lot of results haven't brought forward yet. But that's in one little town of about 280 to 300,000 people. And all of a sudden, we went from 0 to 4 confirmed and 150 some that are still pending. So that's what's going to happen nationwide. The numbers that we're getting now are going to be just ballooned by the time they get all the tests in place and everything is working, when they're getting real results. Thank you for your service. The VA hospital in Minnesota is really top notch, but you are right. No system can absorb all this probably. Yeah, that's my fear. And, my father was a physician, and he always had to fix a hospital when he went into it. He was in the Navy, and the medical corps in the Navy definitely needed some help. And every time they assigned him to a hospital, the first thing he had to do was fix it to make it so that they were ready for major disasters or emergencies. And it just seemed like every time he got assigned to a hospital, they weren't ready. They had never done any drills. They didn't know what to do for mass casualty events. They just were not ready. And that was what he did, was put them back in ship shape and got them ready. So, yeah, at this point, our hospitals are in trouble. They've been too complacent for a long time. Time for this guy to get a full 40 minutes of sleep. Go easy on it. Drop it like a scat, because you might wake up tired. But I can feel your pain, though. It's hard to get to sleep when the brain is racking constantly. What's going on? Sometimes I actually get up in the middle of the night to check, see if I can find some headlines on stuff, because it's just, there's so much going on so fast that all you can do is just try to keep up. Do we have trolls? I just don't think so. They're a great informer. I really don't get any. I think I've had one the whole time I did this, and I absolutely beat the living snot out of him with kindness, and it just drove him so insane that he just disappeared, and I haven't seen him back. Because, what are they going to do? Bust the caps lock in my ass? I don't worry about them. If they come in there huffing and puffing and doing all that, then, it's just like, yeah, so why is it you're having a bad day? You want to tell me about it? Lay down on this couch right here. Let me just pick your brain and find out what's making you so upset. I just don't have time for it. They are no concern of mine. Everything closed down except Honest Early's used cars. Well, you got to have a car, even when the And when everything else goes down, you got to have your set of wheels. Uh, your dad was stationed in Pools. I'm not sure where that is. McElroy, I'm not sure. AOC blames the ground for getting lost on a path. Yeah, I believe that. All right, so is it? If I'm going to put this link up here one more time, if somebody wants to come in here. Oh, and over in Pensacola. Oh, okay. Yeah, my father did his flight surgery training over there as well, and when I was growing up, my dad in the Navy, I didn't ever have a place to settle down and have never had a place to call home. So this is sort of my adopted home is down here in the Pensacola area, because every time we'd go somewhere, all of a sudden we'd come back. And so I felt like this was where we were going every time we were coming home. So yeah, it's a nice area down here. But anyway, so I dropped that link. I'm going to give you guys another second here or two to see if you want to come in and give me your thoughts on how things are going. If not, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys all hit the rack and see if we can figure something else out to do. And I'll keep you guys posted on the information as I get it. But those herbs are natural antivirals. Oh, okay. I think I missed that, Phil. We'll go back and check my chat after everything's all said and done. I'll probably look back at it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm curious about holistic medicine. Even like I say, with my father being a physician, he was an advocate for natural medicine. He always said that the earth was creating medicine a lot earlier than scientists. So he was a big advocate for that. Yeah, prayers for humanity. I think we're going to need it in the next couple of weeks. You basically could take every blonde joke over the years and put AOC in them, and they would make perfect sense. That's true. It's pathetic, but it's true. What it does, though, it gives the blondes a reprieve. So they've got to feel pretty good about that. So it's not really safe to invest in the stock market, huh? Just Ponzi scheme in disguise, unless you're analytically inclined. I wouldn't say that it's not a good place to invest. I would just say if you are going to invest, unless you're a minute trader or a day trader, then you don't need to be looking at immediate ups and downs because it's irrelevant to your portfolio. You need to be looking at long-term investment. So some of your safest bets for investing are utility companies that have dividends, because you can invest in the utilities and then keep rolling it over. If you get dividends out of it, keep having your dividends rolled over. And then, when you're ready to retire, you can start having those dividends come to you instead of that, or half of them come to you, half of them get reinvested. But my wife and I have always done utilities when we did investing, because it's a very secure thing. As long as we still have sewage treatment plants and electrical power companies, utilities are going to be a pretty safe bet. Oregano, basil, sage, rosemary, fennel, garlic, sumbacus, lemon, balm, ginger, and echinacea. Okay, cool. Yeah, we use a lot of those herbs in our cooking every day. AOC went to a bar because she wanted to be a lawyer. The British Accreditation Registry, you mean? Never heard of it. I used to be a blonde in my younger days, so I had an excuse. Well, that's cool. Right on. All right, so it doesn't look like anybody's going to jump up in here. Nobody wants to talk to me. That's all right. I understand. I've been rejected before. It's, you get used to it after a while, but, still hurts a little bit. Northern Tiger, if I haven't waved my hand at you, how you doing? Good to see you. Anyway, I know you probably get a lot of people asking to speak with you. No, I really don't, Dan. But it's okay. I mean, I'm willing to talk to anybody. I don't mind spreading my knowledge. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I've kept everything to myself for many years, and finally decided I needed to do a YouTube channel and start trying to get some of this out of my brain. Watchful Warrior, how you doing? Good to see you. But so my goal is to open the minds of the people give them the experience that I have found, and that is in researching and digging and understanding that there's an awful lot of this world around every one of you that is an illusion. And I try to crack the illusion and let people realize that there's more behind the curtain, so to speak. And Northern Tiger, you have a question? Well, do you want to ask me on the chat, or you want to get up here and ask me in person? Because that's the opportunity that exists tonight. If you have StreamYard and you got Chrome on your computer, then all you got to do is click that link, put in your name, what you want to appear underneath you, and in you go. May our good Lord be and keep us one and all, keep faith, eyes upward, love one another. And Linda, you are absolutely right. There's just no time for hatred. And one of the things about being a constitutional patriot like I am, I take the Constitution word for word, and that means all men are created equal. And you know, I love everybody, I respect everybody, and I judge nobody. It's not my job. There's only one person that does the judging, and he ain't telling me which one to choose, so I don't do it. I think it's property. No matter what happens in the market, you'll still have your property. Yeah, just keep paying those taxes. If President Trump goes full martial law where the House have no power, well, there are going to be self-restraining attributes to a martial law. What they're going to do is they're going to call it a medical martial law for national security to keep people locked in and away from each other. I don't think that he's going to follow the executive order that Obama created that allows him to seize assets of every person and take over businesses and all these other things. I don't see President Trump as that kind of president. I don't see it. There are some things that he's done that I don't agree with, but there are things that everybody's done that I don't agree with. So I don't make my judgment based on one or two things. But I don't see him as I don't think he would be comfortable in a totalitarian position. He is a person, he has an ego. He likes being the one at the top, but he also likes to sit down and have a room full of people disagree with him once in a while. And that's not the sign of a totalitarian. That's a sign of a CEO. So I see him as a CEO. You know, he is the big man in charge, but he's also got big ears and willing to listen to anybody at the table that has an opinion that might work better than what he's thinking. Wait, Alex, someone's coming. Okay. Are they coming in behind me? I don't see them. They're sneaking up on me, I think. Great Informer. Oh, okay. Got to move the chat up so he could see. All right. Well, that would be pretty cool. That'd be a Great Informer jumping up here. Charles Pierce, how you doing? 38 likes as far. No, that's cool. He's got the right advisors scientifically. Yeah, and he's working on others. I mean, you can't get rid of all of the jerks at one time. It'd be nice, but they just won't. But I think he's getting rid of the bad ones and putting in good ones a few at a time so that he can make a decent transition. Northern Tiger, so on medical situations, they stay active and contradict him. Yeah, they're going to be still doing that. The advantage is that he still has veto power and there's still some sanity in the Senate. So there's a double buffer between the psychos in the House and the president. So there is still that, and we have that to at least save us from some things. Yeah, I got your 6 nobody or thing there. Cool. Yep, I don't see him. All right, so is Great Informer going to pop in here? I saw an 8-ounce hand sanitizer that sold for $5,400. Holy crap. I'm sorry to say that. You know, when we have a hurricane, prices are locked. If a state's coming, if a hurricane's imminent and you're going to get the hurricane, they have a program in hurricane states, or at least in Florida, where markets lock. So what the price is right now, if the hurricane is coming, you cannot raise that price because the hurricane's coming. And if you get caught price gouging, then you can get arrested and put your ass in jail. So why the hell can't we do a nationwide price lock and stop people from gouging? It's not that hard, right? It's better than getting caught up in the Tupperware or tape war, TP war. Okay, TP war. I get it. Right. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, you got to look at my video, The Great Adventure, because I kind of take some fun at the situation with our craziness out here. It's just a fun video. There's no message to it. It's just a sketch. It's just me screwing around, and it gives people a chance to have a little bit of a laugh. Gave me a chance to screw around with some editing to see if I could figure out how to do it, and stumbled around long enough to get it done. Geopolitical market shutdown coming. Matthew, I think you are absolutely right. We're going to see. There's going to be a lot of things happening. And by the way, good to see you, brother. I'm glad you're here. I hope you guys had a safe ride out there on the little boat. Holy crap. This is an honor and a privilege to introduce the great informer.
What's
Bless
up,
you.
Disabled Vet? How you doing?
To you, sir. What's happening?
About nothing.
Good
but,
Lord, you're on my channel.
No, I just thought I'd jump on here a little bit with you. I tell you what, I know it's a little off subject, but I really wish Carl's opinion was still with us.
Fine.
You know what I'm saying? Because Carl is, Carl,
I miss him.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I hope everything's good. I just wish, I hope he comes back on. But so what's up? How is everything?
Man, this is as crazy as I want to be, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we're
doing all right.
I was I've been active on Parler today, and there was a story One American News had posted, but you have to have the app in order to get on there to see it. Of course, if you try to type it into Google, you know how that goes.
Right.
You can't find it. But it was basically how like a foreign media company or foreign entity is basically spreading misinformation about the coronavirus. And I think what's happening, and I tried to upload it to Parler. I don't know if you were in Tony's stream earlier, but I was trying to load it up there. And I didn't mean to barge in like that. But yeah, I didn't mean to barge in there like that. I owe Tony an apology. But the whole thing was basically I loaded up on Parler and it's not showing up. Somebody had responded to me and said it's not loading. And I guarantee you that it's the Google algorithms that are censoring my posts on Parler. Anything with coronavirus, sniffles, forgive me. The sniffles, the undocumented migrants, or a certain kind of radical ideology in a part of the world that hates us. You mention any of these words and it's like it triggers the algorithms, and boom, you don't see your post. I mean, I could see my post, but it's like it disappears into the algorithms. And I don't think it's Parler. I don't think
it's very interesting you say that.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it goes deeper. I think it's capped at Google, but over here in YouTube, I got a message when I went into my videos earlier when I was getting ready to go live. I'm opening it right now so I can get it word for word the way they wrote it. But they're basically just downright admitting to the fact that they are using an AI program to monitor your activity. And I almost have it up here. I'm going to read it to you. But they're not even embarrassed anymore about telling you what they're going to do to the channel if you do certain things. They write it right at the header. It gives you get your notifications up here at the top of your video list. And here it comes right now. It says, important. Due to COVID-19, we will conduct fewer human reviews to protect the health of our extended workforce. Unfortunately, as a result, we may remove content that does not violate our guidelines. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
They've been removing content that does not violate their community guidelines since I've been doing this now a little over a year. So what's new?
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't think it's Parler that does it. It's the algorithms, because I got this app from the Google Play Store. So all those algorithms get filtered through my account. I'm very active on Parler. People know who I am on Parler, thanks to my humor, but that's a whole nother story. Sorry, I don't mean to brag, people. Just
right.
But anyway.
Oh yeah, hey, brag. Go ahead.
But I'm on a new social media site called Clout Hub, and they don't seem to censor, or they don't seem to have the problems with the algorithms that Parler does, but it's a smaller site. And the interesting thing about it is it's for both, Democrats and conservatives, but it seems to be dominated more by conservatives. And there's some very, very intelligent people over there. I mean, people who, the interaction is very good in the community. And the reason why I'm even mentioning this is because these social media sites are going to be the key to how we can help get pro-American candidates elected to office. You know what I'm saying? I posted Derek Grayson, who's running out of Georgia, right? I think he ran against Johnny Isakson in 2016. I could be wrong on that, but he's known as T-Mont, the Minister of Truth. I mean, he's got a pretty big following here on YouTube, right? And I posted his campaign. Yeah, he's very knowledgeable. He actually opened my eyes to a lot of things. But I posted his campaign on my wall in Parler, and I've gotten tremendous response. And people have been echoing, sharing on their other social media. But see, that was the same thing with Mark Robinson, right? Now, keep in mind, I'm just pointing this out because I posted on Parler before I did Derek Grayson's that Mark Robinson was running for the North Carolina he was running for office in North Carolina. I forget what it was, but he won his election, right? And I know that not just me, but see, I had a hand in doing that. You know what I'm saying? I had a small part in helping get elected because out of the 300, 400 some retweets, echoes that I had, maybe a few of those people spread it around to their families, right? And they get the information there. They get people to know who he is. And this is how we are going to help these people get into office. Now, the reason why I'm saying this and bringing this up is because of how large of a base I have on Parler. I'm a target for censorship. And they don't want people like us doing things like that. Look how hard it is for me to send a super chat in some of these YouTube channels. If you
No,
sorry,
please, go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt. But if you notice how you have to use certain words, you got to break up certain spellings of words. It's the only way to get sometimes it's the only way to get the super chat out there. And it's I just don't know, because if some of these companies, like these platforms, can get on the blockchain technology, and then you don't have to filter your stuff through Google. You can literally just I don't know, Bitchute uses it. I'm sorry, I don't know much about tech, but Bitchute uses the blockchain technology, and I think that's how people they get their views, and people can share their videos without censorship and shadow banning. The problem is Bitchute is not as big as YouTube. But anyway, I didn't mean to get off subject like that. I'm sorry. But I don't. No, I wonder.
That's what this is about tonight. It's just whatever's on people's minds.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like today. just switching gears, sir. I try not to do this. I do apologize. But this thing with the sniffles, right? Everybody is in such a panic. Like I've been at some of my grocery stores today, right? And they still have a fairly good amount of product on the shelf. I mean, there are shelves that are portions of the shelves that are blown out, but they still have a good amount of, soup on the shelf, beans on the shelf. See, to me, that's the people who are not panicking. You know what I'm saying? It's a portion of the population in my area that's not panicking, that actually understand what's going on and understand that this is, no more. This is no more worse than the flu. H1N1, that was massively worse than this. There was no hysteria. There was no panic. People were just going on about their day. But the liberal mainstream media has hyped this up to the point where it's blown out of proportion. As everybody knows, and
they've created hysteria.
And yeah, and when I was talking to R-rated conservative the other, actually, I think you were on his show, right, when I called in. He made a good point about how Trump has people now in Google, and hopefully those people are going to be watching what Google does, watching how Google filters their information, see what Google's doing, and I hope they can actually, bring this. I don't know if they'll ever be able to bring Google under control with their monopoly of information, but at the very least they can.
I think that what will happen is, I think that there will end up being a breakup. They're going to either cooperate or they're going to end up getting broken up like AT&T did back in the 70s. So I think they're going to have to make a hard choice, because they're not going to have the political push if they get broken up. So they're going to, I think they'll back down and they'll decide to cooperate.
But if they break them up, what like what regulation is going to be put in place to keep them from? I mean, because it isn't a monopoly of information they have; it's a monopoly on words. It's not. I mean,
right?
You control the words. If you have the power to filter out certain words and you can, like for example, my one-liners, right? I'm all over YouTube with my one-liners, and I know sometimes when I post a one-liner, and YouTube will kick it to the bottom so nobody can see it, and I guarantee you that's probably some people on YouTube who are offended by the way I point out my humor, the way that I explain my humor in the way, because I basically take the logic of the left and throw it back at them, so they don't they find it offensive, I guess, but that's just one point of algorithm manipulation. I guess it's something in my URL that, like, when I come on or make a post or something, it just knows to kick it to the bottom of the comment section or something, And I think this is how a lot of other YouTubers
Dan
get.
McElroy, I'm not sure what you mean, buddy. Just second on this comment here on Dan McElroy. He says we're all boozing and trying to deal with this all. I wish I could talk. All you said I would not cover. Totally different stand. I'm not sure what you mean, but if you do have Chrome on your computer and you download the StreamYard app, which isn't very big, it fits on a phone or a computer, then you would be able to hit the link and come on in and discuss anything you want. But it's up to you on that. We've got a slight feedback. Yeah, I'm hearing something in the background, but I don't think it's for me. I don't have anything on in the house.
DV.
Anyway, so where were you?
No, but I think I mean, I don't know. I'm not a tech guy or anything, but I'm assuming that the way that they censor people is by, I mean, maybe me. It's like whenever I post something on Parler, it kicks it back to the people, or like it filters through the people who have small followings. So whenever they echo it, their followers don't necessarily see it, who might be following me. You know what I mean? But again, I don't blame Parler for that. It's the big tech companies that are doing it, if they are doing it. But
yeah, it's Alphabet. Alphabet owns the servers, so they've probably inserted their algorithms into their servers so that it's doing an entire web wide search for these words and squashing them before they go to the smaller company being hosted on servers that are owned by Alphabet. It really is a monopoly. They control what the world is allowed to see and hear. So it's just they're gonna have to have a hard choice. They're either gonna start conforming and releasing the censorship, or they're gonna get broken up. And if they get broken up, it'll be like AT&T. They may still own the servers, but they're gonna have to wholesale some of the access to the servers to smaller companies with the ability to run it the way they want to run it, where the algorithms wouldn't be allowed to be injected in there. I'm just on a different subject. So, come on my cell phone. Have no idea how to join you. All right.
I'm streaming from my phone, and I got my laptop here. But Vet, while you're doing that, you know who the Mercers are, right? I know you've heard me talk a lot about them. But the interesting thing about the Mercers is that, and people don't understand how intelligent the Mercers do things and how they do things like Renaissance Renaissance Technologies is one of the most profitable hedge funds out there. You know, it surpasses anything Soros has done.
Try to hit that link down there and see if it allows you to do anything. Just try to click that link in that and on your phone and see if it'll allow you to do anything. It may walk you through, give you a couple of prompts to do something, but you could try it and see what happens. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, it's all good. But the Mercers, if you look at how they funnel their money, they actually target laws that weaken the IRS. They target laws that seem to be, hampering the growth in America. You know what I'm saying? I'm not an expert on the Mercers. I just kind of, see where they've funneled their money. And they've pumped a lot of money into things like Project Veritas. They were the ones who actually got Trump elected, helped Trump, like Steve Bannon and Kellyanne Conway. They have deep ties to the Mercers. And usually wherever Bannon is, Mercer's money is not far behind. I'll give you an example. Right. I don't know if you know, a while back, Mercer was going to Europe to start a thing called the Movement, which was supposed to counter George Soros's Open Society Foundation, the influence that the Open Society Foundation has in Western European countries, right? And then all of a sudden, the Yellow Vest movements pop up in France, in parts of Asia. Coincidence? I don't think so, because as far as I know, and keep in mind, I know enough to be awake, but I don't know the stuff on the level that you and Pete do. But the Yellow Vests are basically nationalists. I think the movement's kind of been hijacked here in the States by the left, but and not too long ago,
Scarecrow. Hold on just a second. Let me bring in Pa Dan for a second. I'll let you go ahead and finish up your subject you're talking about, and we'll see what he's got on his mind.
Okay.
You got to turn down your YouTube, though. Pa Dan.
All right. I'm on my phone, so I'll do the best I can.
Okay.
Won't hear much of you guys, but I'm from Pennsylvania, and I don't know, man. People are crazy up here. Shelves are cleaned at freaking Walmarts and all that, which I'm sure you all got the same thing going on in your area.
Mm-hmm. But the Mercers,
it's pretty bad all over.
I might go around here unplugging some speakers. Well, now I can hear you guys. I'm gonna put some earbuds in. Hopefully, they don't freaking do anything to affect the sound or whatever.
No, earbuds would be a good idea. So, what were you saying now, Great Informer, about the Mercers?
A while back,
I just wanted to let y'all know that Walmart's all the Walmarts in my area don't have ammunition. Can't buy a gun. They're out of toilet paper, of course. We've been bum rushed, and I just don't get it. The only thing I can see is it's. If I look at the big picture, I see gun grab and NWO when it comes to the end. You know what I mean?
Well, they're already starting to do that in
Well,
some
I'm sure
areas.
that will be attempted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
and it.
Well,
If
like
you notice,
Illinois, you've got one of the mayors up there.
Mm-hmm. If you notice, all of the panic is in blue states and in blue counties and in blue areas surrounding red county, red areas, and
Yeah.
Right.
it's like, Alex, because the other day, DVP, you made a good video the other day, which was spot on, right? I'll get back to the Mercers in a second, but you were when you were talking about how the cabal, this is their turn, right? Now, when people say lockdown, there's different levels of lockdown. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, businesses closing early is a form of lockdown. It is not, people have this tendency to look at lockdown that it's martial law, confined to our houses, and that's not necessarily the case. But anyway, just real quick, I'll finish up with the Mercers. But not too long ago, there were some yellow vest protesters that were trucked into Canada, right? Now, who's paying for those trucks? Certainly somebody with money, and the research that I've done, no. This is the yellow vest movement. The yellow vest movement is kind of like the Antifa of the right. They're the right. They're our version of Antifa, basically.
Yeah.
But
okay. Yeah. All right. You're right.
But not too long ago, and if you remember, when Brian Colfage started the when Bannon jumped on with Brian Colfage's group, right? The WeBuildTheWall.com, they got a $6 million donation offline. Nobody knows the donation does not say where it was from, but I would suspect that it would be somebody that has connections to the Mercers, or somebody who maybe a super PAC donated to that organization, But see, you got to remember too, the Mercers actually, those signs that went up in Times Square in New York, the Mercers were responsible for they backed a super PAC that sponsored those signs when Amazon said they weren't going to New York after AOC made those comments. And if the only thing I can see about the Mercers is that if they were on the side of the left, we would have been screwed so long ago. We would have been screwed so long ago. Now, do I think the Mercers are wonderful people? Well, I kind of like what they're doing. I like what they're doing, but I got to take that with caution. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know what they want. You don't know what they're trying to do. But in the end, who are you going to get behind?
To help yourself.
Yeah. But well, anyway.
Sorry if I
so
fell on you all.
No, it's
flipped.
That's all right. That's all right.
But
I'm only on a cell phone here.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, Paul, Dan, what else did you have on your mind?
Give me a second. I'll be right back. Hold on.
I just really think there's some other freaking directive here. I'm not sure if they're arresting people. I've heard there's people that are being arrested and whatnot, and smearing my camera.
Well, I saw something very interesting today. I saw that you might know about the sealed indictment list. We had like 180,000 sealed indictments that are all stacking up. And today I saw where somebody created a map showing the areas where the liberal leaders are creating the most totalitarian type of grabs.
Disturbance?
They're trying to increase their power in those districts.
Yeah.
Right. But this map, when you overlay the states with the most indictments and the regions, the dots where the leaders are trying to do totalitarian measures, they found that those line up perfectly.
I missed part of that.
No, I was just saying it just showed where the highest number of indictments are, is it lined up on that part of the map to show where those areas are that they have the leaders trying to take complete power from their in their regions. Like that mayor that's in Illinois that wants to make it so that she can decide if people are allowed to buy alcohol or ammunition or anything. She gave herself complete control using the Emergency Powers Act. And she's one example of them trying to do a massive power grab. They're going to try to use the president's National Security Emergency Powers Act. They're going to try to use that as the excuse to take complete and total control of their regions.
The people in my neighborhood are trying to do that too, because I got a thing today. There's I live in Kane, Pennsylvania, and there's a Kane thing on Facebook that shows everything that's going on, and they put a thing up today that the freaking liquor store is going to be closed, the beer distributor is going to be closed, anything that's non-essential will be closed until further notice. And you can't buy ammo, you can't buy nothing around here right now. You can't even go buy a gun to defend your house if you needed one.
Wow.
Do you think
it's getting pretty bad? Unfortunately, I think it'll get a little worse before it gets better. What was that, Great Informer?
I was gonna say, I was watching Axe Truth Channel the other day, and he had a caller that said something very interesting, that Trump was actually, like, obviously we know there's more going on behind the scenes, right? And let's say, I mean, I'm sorry, forgive me, I don't mean to be a pessimist, but I'm a little on the skeptical side of people going to jail. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, I don't know. But aside from that, they were saying too that Trump might actually use this opportunity to try and get some federal agents into these sanctuary cities to get some of these undocumented migrants out of here. And I don't know if they're going to meet any resistance or not from some of these sheriffs and jails that are harboring and refusing to work with ICE agents. But if I don't know, it's really hard to say, because there's so much stuff happening that it's beyond my comprehension. Exactly. It really is. I mean, like I said, I know enough to be awake.
It's all happening at once.
Yeah. But some people believe that there's and some people believe that there's going to be firefighting in the street, and how do I say, like martial law kind of conditions. And I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I don't know where some of the stuff's going to be. It's like I was talking to Vet earlier, and I was saying, I had a few people ask me about a couple of things. Like, one of my friends showed me a thing called the 14-day lockdown, and he shows me this article, and I said, dude, this is from Kumplar, India. From India, the capital of India, Kumpal. I can't pronounce the word. I'm sorry, but this is from India. And then he looks at me and he goes, "Oh." Second person comes up to me and says, "Oh, you know what? We're gonna shut all businesses down, and then we're just gonna be quarantined to our houses." And I said, "Look at the title again. They're suggesting the elderly stay home and quarantine themselves." And he's like, "See, there's so many people are throwing things." And,
all that's against our Constitution. It freaking infringes on our right to freaking to group and to have fun and do whatever we want to do. All of that is a violation of the Constitution. Therefore, if we're going to step on the Constitution, we would be under martial law.
Yeah.
'Cause when martial law goes into effect, the Constitution goes out the window.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's like this thing
then
in
you better be
And
ready.
that's when you're going to have a problem with patriots.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's when I say you better be ready and lock and load.
Mhm.
Yeah.
See,
Simple
like this
that.
thing in Virginia, right? and it's interesting because when Virginia was going on and Ralph Northam, they made that big cage and what was it, Amanda Chase? I hope she wins the governorship, by the way, when the elections come.
Yeah.
She, Soros buses in agitators, Antifa's out there, BLM's out there.
Yeah.
But they backed off because they saw that there were people who were serious about what they were saying. And like I was saying
Yeah.
on
They also had them quarantined. They had them locked up like cattle in the south part of town. Yeah, I talked to a couple of cops when I was up there, and I asked them about Antifa, and they said, "Oh, we have them all corralled on the south side of town." And I said, "Okay, well, are they going to break the police line like they do everywhere else and start trying to interact with the Patriots?" And he says, "No, this isn't Portland." So yeah, they had them corralled in the south side of town because they knew if they allowed Antifa into the area where the Patriots are, then it would have been over, because they knew that when we went up there, every single person that went to Virginia went up there fully prepared for a fight. We were armed up. We were tactically prepared. Everything was in order. We were ready for combat, and it didn't come because they didn't allow the people to agitate. So that's what saved their state, was the fact that they kept them away from the people so that they couldn't start a conflict.
Well, Antifa would have been decimated in that conflict. I mean,
were you talking about Virginia there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
their Second Amendment rally that we did up there in Richmond.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on YouTube. I'm not anybody that digs deep in anything. I'm just a Joe Schmo, but I dig through a lot of stuff, and I've been researching for years. You know what I mean? On everything, conspiracy theories, whatever people want to call them. As far as 9/11, it was a demolition job. I don't give two craps what anybody else has to say about it.
Yeah.
They dropped those fucking buildings.
Yeah.
Well, Tony Patriot, right. Which I definitely, please everyone, get over to Tony Patriot if you don't have him. But if you're not,
I'll get over there. I'll find him.
But he released a video a while back.
Just Tony Patriot. He's good.
Yes, he is.
I'll definitely search him out.
I'll
write that down.
He released a video of a New Jersey Democrat that literally, you'd swear this guy was a conservative the way he was talking. I don't know who the Democrat's name was, but he was leading efforts to bring a lawsuit forward against Governor Murphy because Governor Murphy was spending money for illegal immigrants, not cooperating with ICE, and this guy just he unloaded. He just went off on the socialists of the Democrat wing, And if we had now, keep in mind, you guys have to kind of forgive me. I am an independent. I've got some views on the left. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. I have some left-leaning views, but not my. Okay, just a quick example, because I say that, I don't need government. I don't need big government for me to, I don't need big government to tell me how to live my life, and I don't need socialists telling me what to do and what should be, and and
the left. I'm kind of have some good views, but they have to deal with us too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and exactly.
If they want to work with us, then we can work together, and we'd be a much bigger, stronger fucking team.
Yeah.
However,
but the problem is,
I don't see any one of us on the right giving up our fucking firearms.
Well, see, that's which brings me.
That's what keeps America free.
Which brings me to another point.
First, the Second Amendment is freaking all.
Which
Without it,
brings
you
me
ain't got none.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
which brings me to another point is that we've gone too far left. We need to go more to the right. We need to come back to the right in order to have that balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And-
See you later,
You
Angel.
gotta have your firearms and.
Well, I'm
all
not.
that.
I'm a person that doesn't agree with the party system. We weren't supposed to be, as a constitutional republic, we were never supposed to involve parties.
No.
What they've done is they've
Exactly.
created a system where they can have small democracies, and the
Yep.
small democracies are the House and the Senate, because
Yeah.
they get
Yep.
one more person in their party, and then they have democracy rule. The
Yep.
person with the most
Yep.
votes wins.
Mhm.
What the system was supposed to be set up with Americans as citizens representing
Straight up
citizens. It wasn't supposed
constitutionalists.
to be divided into parties. Yeah. Well, I'm a constitutional patriot. I am not
Same
a
here.
Republican or a Democrat. Right now, I'm registered as a Republican because in my state they screwed around and said we couldn't vote in primaries unless we were party affiliation. So I had to pick
Yeah.
to be a Republican because I wanted to support Ron DeSantis. But
Yeah.
my actual affiliation is constitutional patriot. I am 100% constitutionalist. If
Mhm.
it's not in the Constitution, it shouldn't
Yeah.
be in existence. That's the way it was
Yeah.
supposed to be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, then you got the left who
Yeah.
want to use
Hey, that's
the
good, man.
and then you have then you have the left, right? And that wants to use more of the things like the unwritten constitution, and they want to use the monument clauses to enact some of their agenda. You know, like most of the left's agenda gets pushed on a state level, not so much on a federal level, because a lot of times you have the smaller states in the Senate that will band together and push back against those, the House, the representation of the House that, wants to push gun control, wants to push,
Exactly.
free,
Do we need
the,
we need gun control? Do you feel safe to walk around without a gun?
yeah, no,
Really?
do I,
In
wait,
this day and age, the way
No.
things are going now and looking, do you think you're safe without a gun? It's all
not
I
in this
got.
day and age. I don't even, the funny thing is, I don't even like-
I pack every day, and I will pack every day
Mhm.
till the day I die.
The
Pry
funny
that in
thing,
my
though-
cold fucking
Yeah.
hands, 'cause I ain't turning it over.
the thing though, like, see, I'm kind of like, I've never bought a gun, but I understand why people own them, and I understand why people have them. And really,
But even
it's people should have a right to choose what they want to use to defend themselves. I mean, it's because
if you're carrying one, if you're carrying one, and you see somebody else being assaulted and mugged and shit, would you not feel righteous to frickin' protect that person and put a fucking slug in somebody?
You
It's fucking
become the
doing
first line of
somebody else
defense.
harm?
Mhm.
Yeah, first
Yeah.
line of defense. Boom. Cops, you call the cops, that's going to take them how long to get there? That person could already be shot by the person that's trying to fucking mug them or rape them or whatever. You could
Exactly.
fucking pull up and bang.
Yeah.
Have a nice day, motherfucker.
Mhm.
Sorry you got
Exactly.
blood on you, but it's okay. It's all good now. I'm calling the cops.
Appreciate
Just
that, Robert.
Shot that douchebag, took care of the situation.
Yeah.
That's what we're here for. That's what everybody here is for, is with guns. That's the bottom line.
Right.
First defense.
Well,
I mean,
with that all being
it
said,
could be
I've been at this for
Walmart
about
over
2 hours
shit paper.
5 minutes. Yeah, plus it could be, but I need to go ahead and let this thing expire because we're a little over 2 hours, and I have to try to consider that thing called sleep. But I wanted to thank you guys for jumping on. Appreciate all the guests that have joined me tonight, and I appreciate everybody else that's come to hang out for a couple hours with me. We got a lot of stuff out on the table. We got a lot of opinions. We got a lot of information moving. That's what we need to do if we're going to get ahead of this thing. We need to keep everybody in the loop. We need to get everybody's opinion. We need to understand it from several different angles, and then we can all go forward and get to the other side of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so thank you guys for jumping on here, and great informer. It's it's a surprise and an honor to have you jump on here, man. I've been following you around for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, Paul Dan, thank you for jumping up here. And we'll see you guys in the next one, right?
Yeah. Have a good night.
Good night to you.
Good night.
All right, with that being said, y'all, I appreciate again everybody hanging out. It's been a long 2 hours, but it's been a lot of good information. So we'll get you guys, catch you on the next one. I'll be around on Wednesday for sure with Pete. We'll see what happens between now and then. And until next time, y'all, like I said, thanks for being here and stay in the fight.